please.
Yes. Miller,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Scheit. Here. Burns.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance, if you could stand if you're able, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will be approving the agenda. I will look for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters listed are considered routine by the board and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the board votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call vote. Do I have a motion for the consent calendar?
Move to approve.
I will second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mike, if you can do a roll call, please.
Miller,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Scheit.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0. We will go on number 6, the public forum. This is time allocated for citizens to bring matters not on the agenda to the attention of the board. Time limits may be imposed. I will open the public forum at 4:01 p.m. If there's anyone for the public forum, you are welcome to come up and speak now. Seeing none, we will close the public forum at 4:01. Unfinished business 7A, discussion of the revised agreement with Brainerd YMCA and Independent School District 181 for youth recreation programs.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Park Board has entered into agreements with YMCA and the school district with the community ed program, and we've revised those contracts per previous discussions. And the main thing is that there was typically 4 items that were on there where we would purchase their equipment, we would line their fields, and there's several other things on there regarding their number of programs that they offer and how much money we compensate them with that. And within the agreements, we actually modified those so that we can break down the actual dollar amount per program that they offer. So if they cancel that program, we can then modify their payment accordingly. And that is the main difference from last year to this year that we're doing with this program and with our contracts. And with that, I can take any questions.
Miller.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, every program seems to cost exactly the same amount of money. So is this something that we're kind of that's going to evolve over? It seemed like everything was $3,000 and that was it. So, and I don't know necessarily from a cost perspective that all of those programs are not going to cost $3,000. But I was curious if that was just like, hey, let's just set this, and then next year when we come back and make those asks, we'll have a bit more of a exact number of what this program is going to cost us, or like, do we have that information of what,
We don't have that dollar amount. A little bit later, we did talk about the actual fields and how much it costs for our staff to line those fields. But what we left in here, because we had a meeting with Community Ed and the Y, and what they brought up was there's an administrative cost to actually, get this ball started and rolling. So if those programs were canceled, we could then group and talk about that percentage, and then we could amend that. At least this contract is stating the actual dollar amount per program, and we could have some teeth in our contract versus very non-binding.
Sure, yeah, no, it makes sense to me.
Yep.
I was curious if there was going to be in the future like a more fleshed out per program price, or if it was just we were going to keep it at $3,000 per program, and if there was a higher ask, we just kind of flatten it out across the.
And the other reason why we kept it at that is that some have 2 age groups and others have 3 and 4 age groups. So it wouldn't be fair to indicate, hey, it's $800 for this program and then it's $1,500 for this program. So that's why we left it flexible so that the board could look at that, take that into consideration, and adjust their payment accordingly.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Andrew?
Has the city attorney reviewed this?
Yes.
So I'm having a little trouble comparing the summary to the actual contract.
Right. The And he has not gotten back to us. It's still in his purview for review. So he's still reviewing this, and he just has not gotten back with comments regarding that. So it's, we think that he will be good with it because we followed pretty much the same, language. We just put a little bit stronger, binding verbiage in there to have some teeth in our contract. So are you indicating from the summary?
Yeah. So, for example, the summary says, right, if the soccer is canceled, right, that's $3,000. But then if we look at 4C, if a program is canceled, not completed, or fails to meet agreed upon standards, no compensation shall be owed for that program, which to me reads like if they cancel soccer, we don't get any compensation.
Are you on are you on the Y program contract? So are you on the summary?
I'm on, well, it's both the Y and 181. Let me switch to the Y. So page 32, section 4C, for the YMCA. If a program is canceled, not completed, or fails to meet agreed upon standards, no compensation shall be owed for that program unless otherwise mutually agreed upon in writing by both parties. So
Right.
if the Y is to cancel soccer, why would they agree to give us money back if they don't have to?
Because they did not provide the service. And if they didn't, then they would, yeah.
And how do we get $3,000 from that section?
We just would not, because we don't give them money right up front. We wait till after the program has actually started and enrolling, and it's already going.
Sorry. The process is just an invoicing thing, right? They just send us a bill for the program after
Correct.
after it's active. So we just don't.
Right.
We just now don't give them a lump sum of $15,000. What the agreement sets up is, I believe it said in 2 separate payments, right? So it sets that up in, I guess that's interesting because it's not a per sport or per program billing. It's 2 separate instances of billing, right?
Well, we will indicate what programs they're doing, and then if they fall short of providing one age group in one category, we would modify that payment.
Okay.
Because like I indicated earlier, some programs have 2 age groups, others have 3 and 4 different age groups.
Oh,
So that's why we need to have it a little flexible. We couldn't have everything dialed in because if they only have 2 age groups and we indicated on the contract 4 age groups, that's not going to jive, and we'll be without any contractual binding, verbiage.
Okay. Yeah, and 4D is more specific to following program completion instead of for invoicing purposes. And then we pay 30 days after program completion for invoicing. So then we're not on the hook to pay an invoice for a program that doesn't run.
But we are. Right, it says if the program is canceled, not completed, blah, 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 no compensation shall be owed for that program unless, oh, I see, okay. So, another question.
Yep.
4A says we owe them, right, before June 15th or September 15th. But then 4D says invoices must be submitted no later than the 10th of the month. But, so I'm just very confused how it's referencing invoices for completed programs, but we're specifying the dates that they have to invoice us when, like, summer sports happen into the summer, like June, July. So that part is just not making a lot of sense to me.
I see what you're saying. So like on 4D, it indicates the 10th of the month, and then 4A, it says June 15th.
Right. And so, like, do they have to invoice us June 10th and then we will pay them June 15th, but the programs aren't necessarily completed after those dates?
Yeah, we can modify that. So actually, 4D could just be removed because it's spelled out in 4A.
Well, I think 4A realistically could be removed. I like the way that D is structured. I'd rather be invoiced on a program by program basis instead of providing two separate payments of $7,500. So I think would be the best course of action. I mean, instead of then giving them $7,500, a program doesn't fire, then they refund us, that sort of thing. So they can just invoice us based on program completion.
So 4A being just indicating the dollar amount to equal installments, and then 4D regarding the dates of invoicing and payment.
Yeah, if the request is going to be 15,000, 4A can be 15,000, and then, we can combine, the specifics of the invoicing in 4D with the $15,000, whatever the ask is contractually, we can just combine those two. So have a contractual ask and then the invoicing be laid out for that contractual ask. So then annually, if they request more money, then we can just change the dollar amount annually. And then they can invoice us like, hey, we anticipate $20,000 this year. Is that something agreeable? Then we can just literally change the figure if costs go up or things like that across the board. So, but I like the invoicing system of D. Just because, to Andrew's point, like they would just give us the money back. And so that just seems like additional hoops when we could just cut them a check after the program ends or whatever is more amenable, I suppose, to them. But I'd like to just be individually invoiced for the programs.
What if they need the money for marketing or, basically marketing? What if they need the money ahead of time to make the program launch?
Have you discussed these changes with the Y and Community Ed yet?
Yes.
And they were fine with being paid after completion of the programs?
Yeah, we didn't dive into that, but it was simply like it was all the previous years before. Their main concern was if there's a dollar amount, there is administrative cost with running each of one of these programs, is that we, instead of just divided up, $3,000 per one, if there's some consideration for that. And that's why we would come back to the board, discuss that, look at those numbers, divide that up by the number of programs that they offer, and follow the contract accordingly.
Has the attorney indicated any legalities with this? Because this stems from last year and our discussion about not paying for softball when it didn't happen.
Right, he has not responded yet, so.
And then, I guess my follow-up question is then how are we paying them now? Is it how it's structured in 4A? Where they're making a $15,000 ask and then we just cut them a $7,500 check on this date and then a $7,500 check on this date?
Correct.
That's how we currently
Because there's no dollar amount per program, and the contract was.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Not binding.
And that's what we're fleshing out here. So again, to Kara's point, I think it is important to make sure that the groups would be okay with an after program invoicing. Because again, I totally understand like the upfront costs of trying to get a program to fire.
Right.
And so if there is a percentage of administration or marketing costs applied to just getting the event to fire, we should probably understand that from their perspective as well. And then if it doesn't fire, then they can invoice us for marketing and administrative if that's the case. That's one of those things where they should be coming to us with the actual costs of each individual program, what it costs to market it, what it costs to run it, those sorts of things.
Right.
Before we just hand them a check for X amount of dollars and say, okay, hey, it costs us, only $2,500 to run this program. And not to say that that's the case, but if we estimate every program to be at $3,000 and we just cut them a check for $3,000 and, that sort of thing. So I think that's probably something we probably need to flesh out a little bit better.
Right. Should we wait till the attorney's response? I know this has been pending several months. And so I wanted to get it on the agenda so that that we're working on it.
Yeah.
Should we wait till the attorney gets back to us and then we'll put it on next month?
Yeah, and I would please reach out to Community Ed and the YMCA just to make sure that they are okay with an after program completion billing. Again, I'm not sure what their margins are like. I'm not in deep with those guys, but if they have to pull $15,000 out of any particular set of programs to just cover upfront or administrative costs to set those aside, it might be detrimental. So And we want to at least try to make these things fire as best we can, so with the money.
And for,
Andrew?
I'm still hung up on section 4, sorry. So page 28, can you explain the difference between section 4B and 4C? Because they look like the first sentence is the same in both.
are you on the Y contract or the community ed?
Page 28 is the 181 community ed contract.
Community ed. Right. So for a flat amount of 15,000.
Yeah, so 4B and 4C have the same. first
Right,
sentence.
and that's the same verbiage on both contracts. So we could remove like,
C would probably be fine, because it's just stated again
right,
in B, yep. And there's
So
more
in the-
specificity in section B, so we
Right.
prefer that. And that's, I think, what your goal was, so we can keep B,
Right.
probably strike C.
Yeah, I think we can remove 4A and 4C.
Yes. I'm just, yeah, not comfortable with how these are laid out to,
Yeah, I think we need more information from the parties and the attorney.
yes. Also, 4B is, yeah, this is a mess. Yeah, 4B is different between, because in YMCA, 4B is additional per program compensation may be agreed upon for specific programs, but then that's not in the YMCA one. So yes. I guess I'd move to table this for next month pending conversations with the payment schedule from what Jonathan said, and then Attorney Lingel's review.
I have a motion to table till next month. Do I have a second?
Yeah, we'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
And we got that totally, just additional, like fleshing out the agreement, so there's some congruency between the two. I mean, we probably like them to look basically identical. And then just a conversation with the two about billing schedule.
and Andrew, I can maybe just reach out to you and we could discuss what the attorney says and get on the board before it is, or whatever, if you'd
Yes,
like.
I think if we can de-chat GPT the contracts, that would be great.
Kara?
If you're going to follow up with the attorney, I just was curious about the liability for them to be making their own lines on the field, if that's a thing. I mean, I get it, they're probably just spray painting or,
Right,
but like if we're only doing the diamonds and they're doing the rectangles or whatever it said in there, is there liability
right.
with that? That was my only question.
Welcome, Mr. Mayor. Okay. I have a motion to table. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion to table passes. 7B, discussion and approval of the ADA budget for 2025.
So we've paved the Lions Park gravel parking lot. We put in 2 stalls there. That was $1,500. And now we have some other items that we could consider purchasing for the end of this calendar year, or those funds can be moved over until next year, and we could use those at various parks. With our Lions Park, they're going to be putting forth a large ADA playground structure, and we could move those funds over to next year. But we met with staff and we talked about different things that we could do. Some of those recommendations are in there. The first one was ADA fixtures for seating for the Lum Park shower stalls, and then some other ADA accessible sidewalks for various parks. And again, we could defer that to 26 so that we have a little bit more power to do something substantial. Any ideas, questions?
Kara?
I guess, would any of this be able to get done still this year? I mean, I guess maybe the bathrooms, but otherwise, wouldn't everything else already be 2026? If we're looking at
Correct.
making-
Right. The asphalt, the sidewalks, it's too late to pour, but the fixtures, that is something that, that restroom does need.
And then was there pricing for the fixtures? I didn't, and I see like they're inspection report, but
No, we did not get any pricing. We weren't sure what the board would want regarding that.
Mike, the Lum Park one looks more maintenance versus ADA to me. Can you just have Troy get that on the maintenance schedule to get done right away?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Andrew?
Do we have the ADA fixtures in the Lum Park showers today? I have not
I'm
explored
not,
the showers myself.
I talked to Troy and he indicated that we need those. I'm not sure what is in there or not. So if he indicated that we need them, then we need them. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, just to JD's point, right? How much of that is like peeling paint, probably maintenance versus like the fixtures and the handles and stuff. I think would be a nice upgrade because that's pretty heavily used and we've gotten complaints about.
The bathroom.
Yes. So anything we can do there seems good.
Yeah, I guess my only comment was simply when we were looking at ADA specific things within these parks listed. I mean, Rotary doesn't have basically any ADA accessibility once you get past the gate. It's all dirt. So just kind of a thought there, not that, necessarily, we've just done a lot of ADA upgrades to a lot of different parks, and this one hasn't been touched yet. I'm not necessarily saying that this one needs it, but, I think you have a little bit of pavement stretching right around there up to the, kind of the river observation deck, and then anything past the treatment area is just, so dirt. But not that it's, necessarily all bad. It's packed in there pretty good, but this is kind of a thought on the rest of that. Everything else has kind of had an upgrade in recent years. Rotary just hasn't been touched, so.
that's the one I was thinking too, if we had to choose one. But again, if it's not till next year, then, that's what's kind of hard.
I'm more in favor of deferring the funding to 2026 since we can't get anything done this year, but I would question Rotary Park being that one since if we're going to make it ADA from a dirt road to the pavilion to make it ADA, it's not necessarily ADA from parking to that. Right. So
Yeah.
I would not be in favor of that funding for that sidewalk.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's relatively, it's probably more than $20,000 too. So, but I was thinking too, like the Lum Park side of things. I mean, we did spend some ADA funds to make a portion of Lum Park accessible, right? So, we should finish what we started with this entire project. So if there are some, if we have money left over and we didn't complete the necessary ADA upgrades, I mean, to your point, maybe it's maintenance, but if we need to, let's just finish the job. We spent money here, ADA funds here, so let's complete using the ADA funds and get everything that was ADA specific in this project completely completed. That's my opinion on it. I mean, we did have a focus on that when we did this, the beach revamp. So if there are funds available and it is ADA specific upgrades, I think we should utilize it and wrap the project up. If we missed something, right?
Are you making a motion for that?
I can. I think it's more of a discussion of where to spend it. But I mean, you guys again are kind of on board with the fixing of the showers and things. So I think if the job's not done there, if there are some ADA upgrades hanging out there and they need to be, and the money's there to be spent, let's take care of that project and finish it off in that spot. We're human, we could have missed it, So I can make a motion. I'd like to spend at least let's get a quote for fixing up them showers with ADA funds then. So.
Did I hear a motion for a quote for completing the ADA showers?
You did, yeah.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Andrew?
I think two things. One is a question for John.
Yeah.
Would you be open to also including other restroom fixtures that may need ADA improvements, like a accessible toilet, accessible sink?
Yeah. I mean,
those are also.
I think To my point is that if we spent ADA funds here, we wanted to make this ADA accessible. We've done it with the sidewalk, the parking lot, all these things. So let's get all the fixtures with the money that we were going to spend on this project anyway this year, and just get it up to snuff. So I think to Angela's point, everything that needs to be replaced within our $20,000 budget for this year should be up to code, because we had the money and we just maybe missed it. So, yeah, I can amend that if you'd like, so,
I'll second it.
okay, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Mayor?
It's still just for a quote though, correct? Your
We're
motion.
just getting a quote on these things, I mean, because, we only got 20 Gs, so let's, only, but, it's, what can we cover, starting with the showers, et cetera. But let's get it all done. And then, Andrew.
Andrew?
Just the second thing, I do note the report from the state, right? They noticed peeling paint, 2021, 2023, and 2025. So I know, Mike, you haven't been here since 2021, but if we can try to close the loop on if somebody tells us there's a maintenance issue.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't get that, and that's on the schedule for next spring to get that done. And they called, I spoke to them, they're 100% good with coming up in the spring, so.
Cool. Very good.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of getting a quote to complete ADA projects at Lum Park, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to new business, 8A, discussion and approval of Ski Loons rebuilding Lum Park Pavilion and the agreement changes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The ski loons are here to answer any questions with their proposal. We have two things for the board to review. One is the pavilion at Lum Park in that southeast corner. It's up for demolish. It's just doesn't meet any of our building codes right now, and it just needs to be tore down. Lum Park is a great park, and we would still like a pavilion there. And the ski loons utilize that park, and they're a great partner, and they need more storage, and they also would have a proposal for revitalizing that pavilion, and also their contract for 26. And with that, if the board would like, the ski loons are here if you have any questions for them.
I'll just kind of open up with comments, I think.
Yeah, did any of the ski ones, do you guys have any comments on the project?
You want to go first on the contract? You want to talk about?
Why don't we do the project with the pavilion first and then the contract? And I'll be up here in case you have questions.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for entertaining our proposal. I believe you guys have our proposal as part of your packet. Happy to answer any questions about it. I know throughout the summer, as we heard discussions that this was potentially up for demolish. As Mike had indicated, we are looking for additional storage there since the previous storage that we had by the beach area was tore down for the improvements. We've got currently a 8x10 or 8x12 shed that we use for most of our day-to-day equipment. And we do store off-site a lot of our, I'll say, show equipment, a lot of the things we need for the performances that we do. And so we thought this was a good opportunity to provide the service and the funds to rebuild the current pavilion and take approximately 2/3 of that to build a shed, and then the other 1/3 would remain pavilion. This would allow us to store our equipment on site. Several benefits to that, certainly for us, but also I know driving on the grass has been an issue, right? This would significantly reduce the amount of trips that we have to bring for our grill and different things for concessions and stuff like that. So yeah, what we've proposed is basically to take the approximately 16 by 32 space there's a concrete slab there now. About 2/3 of that is pavilion right now. We would propose to take 2/3 of that current slab, about 20 feet, make that shed. So we'd have 20 by 16 shed and then a 10 by 16 pavilion adjacent to that, so.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Holmstrom? I like that you put in there that it would match the aesthetics of the existing park. It's like you know that.
I think maybe Mike helped us with that verbiage,
So, I think comment from me as well. Like I said, I'm all for this. Again, it was one of those things where, and as we'll have further conversations down the new business structure here, we have a lot of partners within the city, and again, you guys have been great. So you know, this is an opportunity to continue to utilize the park, have a great partner, and have, you know, somebody take kind of charge of keeping certain structures, even though, again, it slightly smaller footprint, but still really important for not only you guys, but for us within the city to have that pavilion in place. And so, and understanding again from your guys' perspective what it means to share assets with the city as well. So I'd, like I said, really appreciate it.
My only concern, is this going to be through, is it going to be through a company, or is it going to be privately built, and just looking at like liability wise, being that it's on city property?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, the current proposal is that this is going to be built by the ski loons and volunteers. I was asked to speak. My trade is carpentry, and you know, I work for a local contractor. So certainly, we met with Mike last week or the week before. You know, talked about some of the things that need to be upgraded. You know, such as the posts and the anchors and tie downs. And so certainly would be built to code. But it would be built by volunteers.
Okay. Andrew?
Just thinking about, because we have our fee schedule tonight too, and we have, right, we waive the rental fees for like the groups that run, right, so Rotary can reserve Rotary for free, same for the other ones. Are we thinking, I'm in favor of letting them rent it for free if they're building it, but I wanted to get our thoughts on that, so we kind of handle that at the same time, that, right, because we're probably going to tear this down, like we don't
Yeah.
have, you know, a spare $20,000 for this, so.
Yeah. Yeah, the revenue on this pavilion's a little low right now, but so
I would be in favor of that.
yeah, no, absolutely. You know, again, term wise, I don't know. It's kind of a perpetuity thing, I think. I mean, but it's for as long as you guys need to use it, you know, on whatever show dates, I suppose, and practice dates.
If I could comment,
Yeah.
I think this
Yeah.
might kind of blend the conversation about contract with the conversation
Yeah.
about pavilion. You know, I mean, our intent, and Mike had a good question for when we met a couple weeks ago, was, you know, ongoing maintenance and stuff like that for the structure, right? And we said, well, you know, it's a hard question to answer today, right? As long as we have a contract with the city and are using Lum Park to provide shows and practice site, you know, we have a vested interest, obviously, in continuing to maintain that facility and that structure. So, you know, we didn't write that into the current contract, I don't believe. But, you know, as we look forward with the park board and the city and the ski loans, you know, certainly, you know, it would be in our best interest and to keep that looking good and functioning well. You know, there is going to be 1/3 of that still would be, you know, rentable to the public, obviously, when not in use by the ski loons. Just the shed portion would be locked up with our equipment in it, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, so I would just say, going down that road is probably the safest bet in terms of making sure that everything is on the upfront. Everybody's aware of, you know, they're going to be using it, but we should also then be mindful of doing that ahead of time. So we're not just ski loons saying, hey, we're going to take this over right now. You know, we have the right to do it. We should get those dates down so that people, if they want to use it, can still rent it out.
Yeah.
And
Conflicts with that.
I think during this entire process, we've all kind of gotten used to the concrete nature of our usage of the park. So I think we'll.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. And my only concern as always is just making sure that everybody's aware that once structures are built on the public's land, it is a part of the city, it is public. We just gotta make sure that we're not building structures for individuals inside our parks, that we are partnering together and that we're making a usage that is both conducive of what you're doing plus conducive of what we're doing. But I think getting as much on the upfront in terms of ducks in a row, and we can still be flexible, but then it's easy to go back to people and say, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, you can read the paperwork. You know, it's just a much cleaner process, so.
Absolutely.
Mr.
And
President?
I do know in the agreement that there was a revision to add skills development. And I did hear from Wayne Harding from Rice Lake Association that they did agree to the 2 evenings per month to that
Yeah,
change.
And I can jump in on the contract.
Can I
if you
go
want.
back? Can we go back? Sorry.
Yeah, you more on that? Yeah.
So thank you, Matt, for helping build this. And then I just was curious about the shed part. Will you guys be using that? That will only be ski loons? Like that won't be available if someone wanted to have an event and needed storage overnight? I don't know. That would never be available as part of the pavilion or?
Yeah, correct. And I
Okay.
think maybe that's where we need to blend the contract and the pavilion structure pricing and stuff together. But yeah, we would permanently leave our stuff then that we currently store offsite in there. such as our show outfits, our grills, our, some of the stuff that we have to truck down there for each show. So that would give us that overflow storage that we're missing now, so.
Because in theory, if you were to close up shop, we could rent the shed out. But they're gonna build it, so we'll let them.
And that would reduce the traffic in the parks as well.
And just during the contractual time, they have exclusive use to the shed, yep.
Right, but that's always then, as long as you are there,
In
is what I'm saying,
operation,
like
yeah.
all year long.
Yep, as long as they have a contract with the city of
Yep,
Brainerd,
okay.
yep, they will have the shed, yep.
Okay,
Yeah. If I could add one more
Yeah.
point to Kara's question. Yeah, we didn't include language in the contract currently that even puts a time frame on this. We're standing here today offering to build this really with no guarantee that we'll have a contract in the future, right? Our current contract that's presented is a one-year deal, right? So, not that we want that, but it could happen. So there's a little bit of risk to us. We would certainly be looking for some discussion about, maybe not this year, but in the future years, like, including something that, a little bit longer term deal. But felt like this was a good gesture to get us started. It certainly benefits us. And we also see that it benefits the city as well by getting a new structure or an improved structure where there's currently one that's set to be tore down, so.
Yeah, and I think the conversation with the Rice Lake Association has been very good. The communication has been outstanding since we've kind of resolved a lot of that. So I think, over the years to come, as we've kind of get continued thumbs up. I certainly have even voiced this early on that I was not opposed to a longer term deal. But, again, it's all about the relationships, I suppose. So thanks.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just kind of transition that into the contract specifically. And it is a joy to come here and talk to you all under these kinds of situations versus some of the past. So it's a little different looming on the calendar. But it has been really good. We had regular contact, worked extensively with Wayne, and then people on the lake, and done everything we possibly could. When there are, questions or challenges, we've tried to be really proactive about it and over-communicate. And so we've had good success there. We did sit down this fall, and talk with Wayne and the Rice Lake Association and talk through some of these proposed items. It was important to them, and therefore we agreed that a one-year agreement continues to be the right accountability, the right, move from a partnership perspective. They did say too, in the long term, if we continue down this path, we can certainly see a long-term agreement, and we're willing to do whatever we can, to continue towards that. And so, the agreement is largely the same as prior, the prior two. And just to kind of highlight some of those, we cleaned up some language with use and with practices and some of those types of things. But really, the only marked change are around 2 show practices a week and then 1 clinic twice a month on a Tuesday. That's confusing, but we had kind of 4 floating days in the contract, and really that was intended for a driver certification. And that driver certification only needs to happen every 3 years roughly. And so we took out that kind of the floating days and sort of applied those to clinic nights. The intention there would be, to do 2 show practices and do 1 clinic night every other Tuesday. It's really the only structural change, from prior. We continue to be committed. The biggest thing that's been a benefit is, we reconfigured the docks. We go straight out to the middle of the lake. Only right before the show, we do some patterns and things like that, and we always communicate that. But the clinic nights would also be that, and even potentially just taking a boat of kids and going up the river, those types of things. So our intention, continues to be that we would utilize the center of the lake as much as possible, and keep it away from shorelines as much as we can.
Any other questions, Kara?
my only note was just about the Tuesday thing, so you said you talked to them and they were okay.
Yes, I got an email from Wayne that they did agree to the 2 days per month for them to do skill training on the trial basis, like the one-year contract.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Wayne and I work pretty extensively together on this, every step of the way. And so he said, if you want to take the email chain that we have worked through all these deal points, and he's great. Our working relationship is very strong. He does a good job even of, looking out for ski loons in some of the aspects of this, which I really appreciate too. So, the Rice Lake Association, he said, you can convey that the blessing is is on this proposed agreement.
Yeah, and I mean, and it really solidifies a lot of the floating days anyway, so it kind of just takes what would have been kind of more of a question mark and makes them into more regular
Yeah.
days that we were already providing.
A little better for planning.
So, yeah.
Any other questions? Andrew?
I think I'm totally on board with this contract. I think I just want to add the notes about the storage and the pavilion to the contract. If that's going to happen next summer, then it's kind of into the contract already. But yeah, otherwise, I think this is great. And I appreciate you guys in the Rice Lake Association working so well together. It's great to see.
So specifically adding in the shed into the contract, that it's,
Yeah.
is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so probably like they get exclusive use of the shed.
Right.
They can reserve the pavilion at no charge, but we ask that you do reserve it still, just so we don't have any conflicts. And then you agree to maintain that area while you have a contract. I think would be the 3 we covered. Does that seem right?
Yeah, I think that's.
Is that, I mean, and again, I don't mean to overstep, is that more than we ask other service groups to do? Because I mean, I don't know if Rotary is under contract or if they can just reserve it through the city.
I don't,
So I just want to be congruent on this, like if we have other, because again, to the point later on in the agenda, this is a conversation I like to have, like when service groups come in and they do certain things in our parks and they build amenities for the city and the use, are we contractually forcing these groups to sign a contract for use? Or are, like we have laid out in the fee structure, saying, hey, we have a community organization interested in establishing a formal agreement with the parks. Are we doing written agreements? Are we saying, okay, we're just gonna waive those fees? Like how, I think this is a further discussion because we want to approve the park usage for the event. I think the specific amenity might have to be something that we kind of flesh out a little bit better. Because if we are not expecting Rotary to sign some sort of formal agreement to use their pavilion on specific dates and reserve it for free, we can't expect another organization to do the same thing, right? But I don't know if that's, is there a solidified thing.
Could I ask a
Yeah.
question on it?
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem like there's perhaps like a memorandum of understanding might
Sure.
be a nice way to kind of accomplish both versus
Yeah.
having it actually in the contract.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe a quick MOU under that regard
Yeah.
would be an easy thing to do.
And I just want to, like, for sustainability purposes, right, across anything that we do in any organization that comes forth and is successfully able to build an amenity inside of our system, I just want to have that be congruent across every single piece of usage. I think this one might be a little bit different simply because you're storing assets, but like, I mean, again, that's the kind of conversation, a pavilion aside, that I probably like to continue on as we move through the agenda. But
Mr. Mayor?
I mean, I kind of see both sides on that piece, that, you know, if you're going to be building something within the park system, there should almost be a contract or something in legalese.
we're doing that with the solar, right? So I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I don't want to say, okay, well, the YMCA is now getting fields for free because they work with us, and we're just waiving those fees. But they're going to have a contract. The Baseball Association has a contract with us. All these other places. So contractually, does Rotary have one? I mean, other service groups in the future. Are we just going to have service groups sign a contract?
So
or
my
organizations?
argument to that would be, yes, we should have them sign contracts.
Yeah.
'Cause here's my reasoning for this. So I've been here, I'm not a park board member, but I'm the mayor and I sit in as the liaison for a decade. These guys are gonna change. They do on a regular basis. Paul Sandy's already, one of our members has been hired by the city. He's now swapping out. We're gonna be swapping out. I haven't asked Kara yet, but Kara, I think your 5 years are up. I don't know if you're continuing or not, but they change. Our city employees change. Having that documentation is really important for the city. So it's less of I think we need to make sure we're sticking it to people, and more of I just want to make sure that when we fall back on things, we have an easy.
And I was thinking more with this pavilion as an example, and the Rotary Pavilion's another great example. You guys are putting a lot of money into these pavilions. I understand that if you don't have like the same usage agreement for the parks and the docks and things like that, I understand that can fluctuate, but like to be able to say, okay, we spent $30,000 on this, maybe we should be able to get at least a longer term on our pavilion if we're going to be cut down on days or whatever might, again, God forbid, happen in the future. You at least have security in your investment. And I think, again, across service groups, I think it's the right thing, just so that you have some security in the investment. Again, this is, I suppose, a conversation that encompasses every organization and service group inside of the city. But I think, probably 2 separate contracts for this would probably be ideal. Their usage contract for the park system, and then a pavilion usage to protect their investment, so.
And I think when it comes to reserving it, when you guys set your dates, I would reserve those right away so you get them in.
Probably would just follow contract, right? Yeah, so.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, if you wanted us to draft some, like an MOU language around that, from our perspective, it does probably make the most sense to, because an MOU could just be bound by the contract being in place, right? So we could certainly do something along those lines and not have it be all encompassing under one contract for use versus, an actual structure.
And if we can just look to see what we have now and just follow whatever structure we have with any other organization within the city, would probably be fine.
Currently, right now, everything is on paper.
Okay.
So even with the ski loons, in their contract that is before you, that pavilion is reservable for whenever they have a show, X number of hours before the show, X number of hours after the show, and give them time to clean up. So right now, it's in the contract. And that's one thing that we could, and Lions and Rotary, those pavilions are city assets, but.
Dave?
We just need to do a better job, though, because we did have an instance this last year where somebody rented that pavilion and then showed up to use it and couldn't use it because it was already rented. So that's on us. That's not on them. That's not on you. We need to do a better job as a city of just making sure that those dates then are blocked out and people are aware that they've already reserved it and we're good to go there. So we don't run into that instance again.
I think this is just kind of part of fleshing out the systems, like in the way that we're doing this, because we're doing this with a lot of different things. And again, further down the agenda, there will be a call for those types of things. And so I think having whatever process we decide to set up that, again, protects the organization, protects the city, I'm all for. I just like to have it,
Right.
stabilized. Whatever works best. If we don't have a system in place for doing this, let's establish one that works. And if they need to sign 2 agreements, assign 2 agreements. If we want to do a single agreement and an MOU, that sounds great. Like, whatever works best so that everybody on both sides is protected and we can solidify that, so.
Do we want to do a motion for approval tonight?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'll make a motion to approve the Ski Loons annual contract and the concept for the pavilion.
Make 2 motions.
Okay, well, yeah, sounds good. So we'll make a motion to approve the Ski Loons annual contract.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the construction of this new pavilion with the shed contingent on kind of whatever staff decides for an agreement for usage after construction.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
Miss Paul already. I have one thing. I don't think I said this earlier, but thank you so much for kind of reaching out to take this on. It's going to go away, and I know you get great use out of it, but really appreciate you stepping up, taking that on.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. We
Thank you very
appreciate it.
much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
8B, Lakes Area Youth Soccer Association.
thank you, Mr. President. Again, this youth group here is present and can answer any questions, but we're already met with a local Brainerd youth soccer club, and they are wanting to propose a proposal to use fields throughout the calendar year. And this partnership would talk about maintenance and improvements. And so they are actually here and can ask any questions of them regarding this proposal.
Good afternoon, everybody. Zach
Welcome.
Swarthout, President of the Lakes Area Youth Soccer Association. We're here to ask for an agreement or to help with drafting an agreement for utilizing the JCs and Memorial Park field space, mainly due to the growth of the program. And as we grow, we continue to put more burden onto the fields that we use. So the more that we're able to spread out our use, it's good for all of the surrounding communities. We're also starting to dabble into interests of hosting a soccer tournament in the community. So starting to get some of the infrastructure in place to do so is a big step in that direction.
Where are you currently hosting?
So practices currently are between Forest View and Southdale.
Okay.
Southdale currently has some grub problems. We don't know what the conditions of those fields are going to be come spring. And with everything that's happening within Forest View, we're unsure at this point in regards to what field usage is going to look like ongoing into next year.
I love the idea of more stuff at our parks and people in our city. That's how we get a return on our investment. What kind of usage would you be looking for? Like how many days, that type of thing?
So we've had discussions with the YMCA. YMCA typically needs usage of that space on Wednesdays. So we would forego that for sure during the summer when they would need to utilize it. It's open to discussion. We typically hold practices Sunday through Thursday. We'd be open to any sort of use within those days. It could be 3 days, if it's 4 days, whatever that may be.
Do we have any questions?
Memorial master planning was a soccer field in that spot, right? Was that correct? Yeah.
Anything?
I thought so. I thought there was disc golf kind of in that back area, and then we ran soccer from. No, sorry. Yep, not me. I'll point at you, but I'm not going to say go ahead.
Look at the one in charge. Yeah, just so you're aware, there is currently disc golf that does come in that has been put in, so that the red one that you have there is maybe encroaching a little bit into that. There's a disc golf net that is a little bit tucked behind, you can see that larger tree there, kind of about where your goal is there. There is a net that comes from that north side down to that. So we would have to be mindful of that, but it's great usage. It is a soccer field. That's what it is. So currently it's been used for donuts and other vehicular activity, but it is built as a soccer field. So it's a great use for it.
Yeah, our proposal would include us providing all of the equipment. So we would provide the goals, we would provide the paint, the lining. Our ask is that if it does become a super dry summer, that the city help with some sort of irrigation. Obviously not putting in irrigation, but if there's ability to somehow add water to the space at some point in time, just to prevent it from getting drought.
My other concern would be just coordinating also practice times and stuff with the baseball fields, especially JCs, just because of parking constraints, and then tournaments as well. But that'd be just coordinating field usage and such. Unfortunately, I mean, good problem to have. We need more parking at JC's, but we'll figure that out someday.
It's coming.
Someday soon, yeah. Very soon.
Any further discussion? Otherwise, Andrew.
Oh, it's me. For Memorial, would fields fit inside the softball fields? Just because those are irrigated.
They
I know
could.
there's like some dirt chunks, but
Yeah, I think if we ever got to the point where it was a tournament, I think then that might be open for discussion. I think for our use right now, it's more for practice. So the need for the impression within the community to have perfectly manicured fields is maybe not as great for if we had outside visitors coming to visit. It's more about having a flat level space for kids to play. The primary ask based around this is that last year was the first year that any of our kids in our 10U programs were actually able to play on a painted field prior to going down to a tournament. So there wasn't this huge learning curve where you step onto the field for the first time and actually see where the lines are. So it's just having a little bit more of that ability for our youngest kids to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
all that's left for me is just when this gets approved, I just gotta have some thoughts, I guess, and conversations with staff on how we could maybe accomplish irrigation without, making it absurd. I think that's really where I'd be at. Like if we need the grass to be really green out there, let's just find a way before it does happen, and then we have a contingency plan to get it sorted, so.
Okay, Andrew?
Mike, so with BBBA, we have an agreement that lets them use, and there's less maintenance with the soccer field, but would you want your folks to be able to repaint? Or does that not come off often enough that it's going to be a problem?
Repainting is about once a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's on grass, not dirt. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Mayor?
So are you proposing that we are painting the lines? Okay.
No, we would be.
Okay, okay. That would be
It's part of the discussion we've had with the YMCA on how we can support each other and have dual use of the space.
perfect, because that's going to be the biggest sticking point is just staff time for any of this type of stuff. And we're trying to move away from, even with the baseball practices and stuff, the less line usage we can do, the less stuff that we have to do with our staff, it makes it way easier for us to say the space is available. You know, you put in the lines, you put in the nets and stuff. And it's just gonna be a matter of coordinating everything because nighttime usage with softball and whatnot, there's gonna be a lot of growing connectivity then. You know, you're gonna get a lot of people using it. But it's been the goal of this park board, the entire time I've been here, to get butts in seats. And that's what this brings, is butts in seats. And then eventually you have parking problems, which I love. I love when you have parking problems because it means that people are using it.
Nothing better than a parking
There's
lot.
nothing better than a parking problem because it means people are using your stuff. But yeah, as long as we're looking at that stuff. To your point with the irrigation, we just bought those wonderful sprinkler systems. I'm surprised you guys forgot about that. We just bought those wonderful sprinkler systems, and I happen to know there is a fire hydrant right there as well. So we have wonderful access to so much water and the ability to move it around.
The best water.
We've been thinking ahead.
Wow.
Kara?
So you're saying we can play soccer in softball fields? 'Cause why couldn't we do it at Buffalo Hills then? I know you didn't mention there, but like, that would be another option in those softball fields. Although aren't they smaller because they're, I'm just thinking out loud here, obviously, but just thinking
Yeah.
of another park, that could be a backup, but no, that wouldn't.
They work for the smallest size fields, so for a 7v7 field, they work for those. So it's just for the youngest kids, U9, U10 age groups. And again, that would only be if we ever got to the point of hosting a tournament, then
okay,
that
that's the only
request might
time.
be there.
Okay.
But between our use at Southdale and potentially at Memorial,
Okay.
it's more than adequate space to move the approximately 4 or 5 teams that would be utilizing those spaces around.
Just thinking as a backup though, I mean,
Yep.
We have room to grow in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, this is just, again, continued conversation. Again, more associations and organizations that want to use specific things. I don't know if you're, like, again, I wasn't sure, like, the netting and things like that, if that would just be an actual fixture there, or if those would be, you know, if they're going to be there overnight type of thing, like,
So all the goals would be heavier and more permanent. They're
Right,
not
yeah.
PVC and easily movable.
Sure. Yep. Yeah,
for-
and no
for
issue
many
with the
reasons.
movability and things like that, but again, going back to the conversation we just had, you know, making sure that we're having conversations with associations and putting something together, because, I mean, their assets are gonna be out there now too. So if we're gonna do this, let's just make sure that we have something that protects the association and protects the city when we approve something like this, so. Yep, because again, I mean, it's your assets out there too. I mean, not that, you know, again, maybe the soccer nets are not that expensive, maybe, but, you know, it's one of those things where we want to make sure that if somebody else's stuff gets banged up a little bit on, in our park system, that, the city's not held responsible. So, again, I'm for this. Again, it's just, as we continue down this list through this night, we're gonna run into this a few times. So, again, getting these types of agreements and making sure that everybody's protected, and their field usage, whatever we decide on is laid out, and they can expect those things over the course of the season and the length of the agreement, so.
I would entertain a motion to direct WASA to work with city staff to develop an agreement to bring back to us.
I think Mike had something.
So there's two options. We could do an agreement, or we could just follow the actual fee schedule, whatever the park board would like.
I would like city staff to work with them and do an agreement.
Agreement?
Yeah, because they're going to do a lot of the maintenance, and they're putting a lot of their time in. They're putting their own assets out on the field. So I think, from my perspective, and the way that we just handled it with the Loons, and the way that other organizations are going to, we just put an agreement together when they have their invested assets onto the field. And then that way, again, during that agreement, they can expect to have those times. Like whatever you guys are proposing, whenever you want to be out there that doesn't conflict with standing agreements that we already have, let's set that expectation. So I think that's fair is fair, so.
Would anyone like to make that motion, or do we have any other questions?
Move to direct staff to work with Lakes Area Youth Soccer to develop a partnership agreement for 2026.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just think this is a good move to make. I'd like to just recommend that we continue to use our existing agreements as a template. We already have this with the Baseball Association. We already have those things that we're working on. We should be trying to keep these as specific as possible and trying to keep them as clean as possible so that they're all on the same page, so.
As congruent as we can, you know, change whatever language we need to change to reflect schedules and things like that.
But as we're moving, these should be moving as one unit
Yep.
as opposed to separate pieces.
Absolutely, so.
Andrew?
You made a good point, Dave, about the baseball agreement. They're doing some advertising at their fields to help raise some money. I think if you're interested in that, definitely bring that up with the agreement. I think we've been open to that for baseball, so if you want to have ads up somewhere that would help bring in a little money.
That, yeah,
On that
boost the
fence line that's on the highway
It's a
there.
wonderful fence right there for you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Understood.
Yep, very good.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
8C, discussion and approval of Memorial Park and Lum Park Pavilion demolition.
So both of those pavilions are due to be demolished, and we just need to get permission, approval to go in there and complete that work for Memorial and Lum Park pavilions. And with that, we can take any questions.
I would have a question for Mr. Holmstrom. Do you want that, would that need to be demolished before construction, or is that part of, would you be utilizing any part of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. When we met with Mike a couple weeks ago, we discussed this, and I think he said he already had this in the works for staff to do the demolition. What we would be reusing would be the concrete slab. So they could remove the structure on it, and then we'd just have a slab there, and in the spring, we could build what we're gonna build.
Very good.
Perfect. I just wanted clarification on that. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, follow up, just related to, but in a separate park. Memorial, we had the Eagles approach us about those ones in particular. Is that the plan with those as well?
We are in the process, we need to get a bid for them. We met with them, I went out to the Eagles Club, and they are waiting for a proposal to indicate a dollar amount, and then that they would approve that. I just have not had a contractor, I need to get a bid for a contractor to take the material and then build it. And so that will be the process.
There was some discussion about our staff building that basic structure. Where did that go?
Just our staff, we could, something would have to come off the plate for them to complete that.
Andrew?
Where is this pavilion in Memorial?
Right by Field 2.
Yeah, it's the
It's-
softball field.
Scroll over. It is right there.
That.
I wouldn't necessarily call it pavilion.
I call it a,
Yeah.
I call it a couple of pegs with a roof on it, but
Yeah, that's
Okay. So we just talked about this lum one, and I'm like, there's
hey,
nothing
I
like
know,
that.
yeah, right, yeah, it's not nearly as luxurious as the Lum Park one, so.
rebuilding that one will be a great job for new trainee contractors.
Okay.
Any further questions for staff?
I move to demolish these.
Yeah, I second that.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Pavilions to come down. Discussion of fire pit at Lum Park 8D.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, that existing fire pit area is a large area, and it's been deteriorating throughout the years. Carl Fast has indicated that he would like to improve that area. He's willing to donate $1,000 for that historical fire pit. And we haven't gone out for bids yet, but we're anticipating that to be relatively expensive. But if the board would like me to go get bids, we can go do that to restore that to its proper condition.
Questions for staff? Kara?
So when you say historical, like, is it just old or is there actual history with it? I mean, if Carl's interested in it, that means there must be some story, but, you know, and I appreciate that. I'm all about history too, but is there actual?
I'm not sure. We'd have to research if it's an official historical structure or not, but we'd have to research that.
Mr. Mayor?
It's historical in that it's very, very old, so old that we don't know where it came from or how it got there. So I know Carl loves that thing, and I do know that we don't know how it got there. I will say that. So historical in the terms of it's older than you or I or Carl for that matter. So
So it is not on any national register?
not on any national registry. I can guarantee you that. But
Okay.
in terms of the significance or value of it, that is for the historians to decide. But the nice thing about Carl is he says he'll give $1,000, but he also has a historical group that does have funding. So, just to put that in your ear a little bit, that there is probably funding to fix that thing if there's support for it.
I think we need to see bids before we can make a decision on it.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to submit for bids, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do any harm.
It's just a
to
little
get it
staff
done.
time, right?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think if Carl had any other context to share about why it's an interesting historical item, I would be interested. I will say I didn't know this was a fire pit until
I didn't know that either.
the fire pit thing is news to me. I thought it was a seating
Yeah, I thought it
deal.
was a bench.
Circular bench. No.
in our capital plan as Stone Circle. That was an accurate description until we knew this was.
Yeah, there's not a fire in there. Like, we've never had a fire in there, right?
Again, it's older than I or you, so I'm sure there's been many fires in there, but I have no idea. It's been there my entire life, I know that, but I do know that nobody knows where it came from, so.
Yeah, I make a motion to direct staff to take a gander at bids and see what it's going to run us to get that thing in acceptable shape.
We have a very Minnesotan motion on the table. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Mayor?
We made it a bar top. Instead of a seating pit, what if we just changed it into a bar top conversation?
I don't want to go down that path of drinking in the park, so.
It's already allowed, so.
There's a way to being a hot tub.
I support a hot tub as well.
It's not gonna stay in it.
All right, seeing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes for bids. 8E, approval of capital equipment for 2026.
Thank you, Mr. President. So for the 26, we have a capital request. The original request was for $34,000 for various items. Our new priority, it's still $34,000, but we would like to move the priority to a Gator, a turf-friendly vehicle that we can drive into parks. And that rate will be ranging about $25,000 to $30,000. And then some piece of snow removal equipment for about $4,000. So it all depends on what the Gator comes in. You can see with that picture, Max, if you can scroll down, there is a lot of different attachments for these Gators where you can just get some trash cans and then haul them to the side. And that will really help us become more efficient in our parks. And so in talking with the staff, we're wanting to adjust and reprioritize our capital equipment. And with that, I can take any questions.
Jonathan?
I was under the assumption for the last couple of years that we didn't need any UTVs to remove the trash cans from the parks. So we did talk about this a few times, and staff had said they were not interested in having any vehicles like this that it wouldn't be an issue to get the garbage cans out of the parks. So yeah, if we need a vehicle to stop driving in the parks with staff, let's get one.
I think that's why it's came up now.
Yeah. And then the snow removal equipment, where is this going to be used exactly?
Downtown.
Okay.
As you know, the city council approved that, and so we have the equipment to do it, and you can always become more efficient with newer pieces of equipment to make the job smoother, faster. so that we can get on with other priorities.
With the snow removal equipment, the park board was pretty clear in their direction that we were not interested in downtown snow removal. So I would not be in favor of paying for snow removal equipment from our park budget, capital budget.
Yeah.
Good point.
If I could-
Two things. So you've already submitted your budget to the city. I mean, you can make whatever tweaks you want. You've asked it for specific amounts of money. So what you do with that is completely up to you guys. However, changing what you're asking for is always a questionable move, because they can always give you less money. So whatever you ask the city of is fine, but the city's gonna come back and tell you what you get. So, it's neither here nor there. So if you wanna say you don't wanna spend the money on the snow removal, that's fine. But the city could say, we're giving you the money or we're not giving you the money, if that makes sense. So, I'm a little leery of switching your horse midstream. I'm a little worried about that because you have submitted it to the council. However, you guys prioritize what the money is spent on. However, your staff is doing snow removal in downtown. It has been decided by the council, and the council has that authority to make the decision of what you guys are responsible for. So,
How much does the mayor's fund have?
the mayor's fund, I have like $2,500.
Why don't you
Yeah,
fund
right,
that?
right. I can get you a couple sleds at
Said
JC's
no,
Park.
so
But again, we talked about this, and not to beat a dead horse, but we've talked about this. You guys said to them you weren't interested. However, it's not your decision to make. If it is right in the charter, whatever. If the city tells you that you are in charge of the parking lot over here, you're in charge of the parking lot over here. That's just kind of the way that works. But in terms of what your individual dollars are for, I'm just a little worried because you had a plow that you needed for $7,000, and now you just need $4,000 in snow removal equipment once the decision has been made. This type of stuff just makes the budgeting process mucky, and I am always leery of doing things midstream because the council has not approved any type of budget for the entire city, let alone just you guys, and no dollar amount has been allocated to you. So setting your priorities is smart, but you got to be careful, is all I would say.
I think I think if the original conversation was half the plow cost anyway, so I think it was $7,000 for the plow and we paid 35, and streets pay 35, whatever it might have been, but yeah, to your point, whatever. If they want to just give us the money to buy snow equipment, we will, but
I think you should be clear on what you want to do with the money. Would be my first thing. I think you should be
I
clear.
thought we
about
were
that.
clear.
You were clear, but now you're changing it. So
We haven't yet.
And now you have a guy saying, I don't even want that. So I would just be leery of all this. Whenever you start to say those things, as a council member, I would say, great, then you can do it with 4,000 less, but you're still going to do it. So just be careful with how you word those things.
Mr. President?
Mike?
If I could also suggest, we also have trails, we have hockey rinks that we need to do. So this piece of equipment would be universal, for everything that we do, not just for downtown. When we look at equipment, when we look at that, we looked at it collectively across the board, not just for one very specific thing. So just items to consider.
I also agree with Dave that I don't like the change afterwards. But I will entertain a motion.
The turf vehicle's tough on me because we had asked about this a ton of times. So, that's a large ask. I don't feel comfortable going back and changing priority on that because we asked prior to the budgeting process multiple times over multiple years if we needed a vehicle like this. We were told no. As far as the snow removal equipment is concerned, if the new charge for the Parks Department is to remove snow in downtown Brainerd, probably need the equipment. So that one I'm comfortable with, but the turf vehicle, I can't justify making that adjustment now.
The plow is in the original ask that I gave to the council. If we scroll up. Yeah.
Okay, so we need $4,000 on top of the $7,500.
They would have just adjusted to a different plow or maybe a used one or
Right.
something.
So the original request was the lift, the plow, and like an aerator for our fields. And with the new direction, or the confirmed direction that no vehicles in our parks, staff to complete that, such as like Lum Park, those larger parks, a turf vehicle will really help staff become more efficient to clean those parks and get them ready for use. And then that snow equipment, we're not sure if it's going to be a plow or another type of brush or another item. We don't want to lock ourselves into very specific thing. We want to let our staff experience this downtown for a season. What piece of equipment would better utilize our time to become more efficient? So that's why we went from a plow. I think it may be a plow, but we want to experience downtown for one season to see what it's like to become more efficient for the years to come. And that's why it went from a plow to a snow removal equipment, piece of equipment in general.
Kara?
So, I mean, as much as change, we shouldn't be changing our minds midstream or whatever, but we're also not boots on the ground. I mean, I personally do not know, if a plow or aerator or lift, whatever, like, I'm not the one out there doing the work. So if you guys feel like you guys are going to work the best with these two pieces of equipment, I mean, it's a bummer that we're changing it now or whatever, but I don't know, can we really make that call for them, you guys? I mean, I know that we asked them about having the garbage cans or, having a tool for the garbage cans before, and they didn't do anything about it, but like, now they are. I don't know. It's just like playing devil's advocate, I guess, but we're not the ones out there doing the work. So don't we want to make our team, or have them have the successful tools they need to be successful? I don't know.
Yeah, and I'd like to apologize for my outrage. I thought we needed another $34,000. So,
It's the same app.
yeah, it's the same ask. So we're good.
Changing
We're just
the
changing
item,
the plow and the aerator are just being rolled into the turf vehicle. I'm totally good with it. So,
Andrew?
Mike, would the gator help with downtown snow removal? Like, I assume you can get plows or things on the front of those.
We could look at that. That is one of those things. We just need to experience that. The gator, the number one thing is to remove trash and get the trash out of our pavilions that are deep into our parks and just to expedite that. When a crew need to work on a sink, work on a toilet that's been vandalized, they got to carry multiple tools in. They can just bring that gator, load up the gator with all their tools that they possibly could use, go to that pavilion, restroom, and then work on that stuff. Working versus just bringing a tool bag and going to that restroom, oh, I need this piece of equipment. Walking back to the truck and, getting that piece and just going back and forth. This will just become more efficient for staff to get the job done quicker, faster, and that's what we're, after this new direction, firm direction, so that's what, in talking with the staff, that's what they would, like to look at.
Thank you. I guess, yeah, I agree with what you said, Kara. We want staff to work as efficiently as possible and support them with the tools they want. But also, to John's point, the park board's policy on driving in the park has not changed in years. And now that it's finally being enforced, this has come up after our capital planning and budgeting in the summer. And so I want them to work efficiently, but I also don't want to jeopardize the capital request for the park system by changing what we're asking for midstream. So I'm kind of torn.
And Mr. President, if I could, I also have spoken to Connie, our finance director, and this, that's why this is on the park board, is that we're still fine within our process, and she is 100% good moving forward from direction from the park board if this is what we would like. She's good putting that into the capital investment and then moving forward, and then it will go to city council for final approval. So we're still within that window.
We have a motion that.
I would like to make a motion to purchase these pieces of equipment, but not exceeding the original $34,000 in approved or planned budget for 2026.
There is a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, so here's my only trepidation towards you, and I support this, I really do, because you can do whatever you want with your money. However, this is why we don't do this. This is why you don't do this, because now you are jeopardizing the money. And I support it. I actually think it's the correct move, because you should be getting the equipment that you need. We know when we need the equipment, and we know it's before, I hate to say this, November, when our budgetary process is now near the end. The council will make its decision at the beginning of December. We know this. We should know this 2 years in advance. We should not know this 1 month after we've submitted our budget. So I'm not scolding you or telling you what to do, but I'm simply saying this is why we don't do this, because we should know what we need. And we can't just continually be putting ourselves behind the eight ball all the time. We have a budgetary process. The council has asked for a 2-year window so that we know, especially on capital stuff, which this is, we need to be more mindful. Do I think this is the right decision? Absolutely. Can the council now come back and say, yeah, fat chance? Absolutely, and that's within their right. So just be mindful of that when we make these types of decisions, and understand that that's why we don't do it.
Any further discussion? I mean, I said my piece earlier, I don't like anything about this request, so there's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't care for it at all. And I think I just want to make sure that staff understands that they are empowered to let us know well in advance if there is anything or obstacles to maintaining our park system, cutting the grass, emptying the garbage cans, the original directive. If there is anything that staff needs, get it in front of us as soon as they possibly can so that we can make these adjustments. When we give you a directive, what tools do you need to accomplish that? And this is one of those situations where, again, I am a little hot about it because we've done nothing but every time we ask for capital items, ask if they need a vehicle to get inside of the parks. And the answer has always been no. So again, very frustrating that it has come to this point, but like, we want staff to know that if there's an ask that makes your job more efficient and we can find the money to do it, we'd rather do it if it's going to accomplish our goal better. So again, I'm going to support this time because again, the directive is no vehicles in the parks. It's come down hard. And yeah, the directive from council is that we're going to be removing snow from downtown Brainerd. So these two items make sense, but in the process and the relationship that we built with council, it makes no sense. So I'm gonna support this time, but staff needs to be ahead of it. So like forward thinking, just like the rest of us are. We put a lot of time, volunteered a lot of time to think 30 years in advance, and we need staff thinking even more than 1 year in advance when it comes to these things. And I think that's a fair ask, so.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. Motion passes 3-1. 8F, discussion of field maintenance cost and time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Staff compiled a detailed field maintenance and cost and time spreadsheet to track seasonal maintenance hours and material cost and overall labor investment across our parks and athletic fields. And on the attachment, Max, if you can scroll down that Excel document there, please. And that there shows our field maintenance from soccer fields, softball fields and baseball fields. And maintenance time is about an hour and a half, and then you could just read across the board. This will help us make decisions when we are talking about the fee schedule, and this will be helpful with that. So this is more just discussion item only, and with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Mike. And if I could just let the record show that Kara Schaefer needed to leave for a prior commitment, so we are at 3 members now. Do we have any questions for staff on field maintenance cost and time?
Just a comment, I really appreciate you again. This is part of the directive. We wanted to know what it costs, staff time, et cetera, to do these things. That pushes this forward. It's really important for us to know these things when it comes to, again, putting in agreements together and things like that, the overall cost of the city and the taxpayers. So really important. I think the only other, as far as maintenance is concerned, I think, we're talking about staff time here. I know as far as, I mean, we only really have one other employee in the Parks and Recreation Department. So when it comes to administrative time and costs for particular programs, so when we're talking about pickleball or softball or office time, I'd be interested in like the program breakdown when we're kind of moving farther on. I know this is a little further out of field maintenance, but when we talk about administrating softball, pickleball, and any other city-produced activities, as we start getting the P&L and all those pieces of information, factoring that into individual programs. So we have what it costs for us to maintain these fields throughout the season. What does it cost for us to administrate the usage of these fields throughout the season as well? Just something to be mindful as we move into next year. And, you know, again, trying to piece together overall what these programs cost to the city. And again, this is a good step one, and then administration costs as well for the future.
Andrew?
Yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you. I think going forward, some other things that would be nice in this vein, right? We have a lot of parks that are grassy areas, right? So the cost of, I think, garbage, seeing the gator discussion, right? Getting somebody to pick those cans, get them into the garbage truck would be nice. And then I think bathrooms, I know they're a cost center in a variety of ways. But the time we spend, I think, on vandalism, like an average, you know, per bathroom per season would be interesting. And then the cleaning and that stuff too.
Yeah, mowing the grass. How long does it take us at each park? You know, the whole system.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's again, those are great step one. Absolutely love this because again, this is just kind of an ongoing thing that we do charge people for. It's important when we set our rates, but you know, again, part of the directive. Everything in the park system, we just want to know what does it take to get our park system in pristine condition every day. And what does it cost? And how many man hours? And again, when we're talking about, you know, what do we need to hire? Who do we need? How do we need to staff it? It's really important for us to know how many man hours we're going to spend doing these things every single day. So cutting the grass, also very high priority for me as well. Again, we'll get out of that, and we probably won't be able to get those estimates until the springtime again. But, you know, as we can piece each individual element together, we can have a better idea of what the park system takes in man hours to make immaculate.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Moving on, 8G, Lum Park Campground Rate Review and Fee Schedule Update.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did an analysis, we did a benchmark, and we looked across Brainerd Lakes area regarding our campground, and we are the lowest in that area. And staff put together some recommendations moving forward, and we are looking for direction regarding our fee structures, regarding our campground fees. I also put a copy up there regarding our fee structure, and it's that highlighted document there before you, and within there's the campground fees. We had a lot of requests for weekly rates, and is that something that the park board would like to have at our Lum Park? There is one individual that said, okay, I don't want to break any rules. He went from campsite to campsite just because he's working in the Brainerd Lakes area. He was working on one of our projects. So we worked with him. We worked with the campground host, making sure that he, you know, was cleaning up and doing a good, you know, being a proper campground person. And so there's some things that we need to look at for next season with our campground area. And so we're suggesting the daily rate go to $55, veterans and elderly, $45, weekly rate, and then also a off-season rate. Right now, we don't have an off-season rate, and I think we could gain some extra revenue for that. We also had a tent campsite. We got different information regarding that. And so we just want to clarify, are we allowing campsites behind the camp host? It would just be a max of 2 tents for one night maximum, just for individuals traveling through. And with that, we also added a dump fee station of $5, a minimum of $5. It's on the honor system, but people are pretty good with that system. With that, any questions? our recommendations.
Any questions for staff on this?
I might have been answered before. I think when it comes to, again, we've already had some amount of conversation even tonight about tournaments. Complex rate, are we talking, like when we're doing softball, are we considering Memorial Field in its entirety to be the complex? All three of those fields for $150 for the duration of that tournament?
Correct.
Okay.
And there are the tournaments for youth and also for adults.
Sure.
But if we want to keep it, we do have a fee structure on the next item, I believe it is. Yes. So this is just for the campground, and then the next item for discussion is the overall fee schedule. So this is very specifically just for the campground.
Yeah. Yeah, I like these changes, especially with the weekly rate. I think we kind of discussed that when Habitat was in town, and, they were looking to get that, and we didn't even offer a discounted rate or anything like that for reserving more time, and then there was discussion at our last fee schedule to maybe include a weekly rate. We're raising the rate anyway, so, a discounted weekly rate isn't too shabby, so kind of sets it at what the rate was before, which is competitive on a weekly rate, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just have some questions. So like the weekly rate, how many people are asking for a weekly rate? And
We had 2 or 3 individuals. One individual went from campsite to campsite to accomplish that.
Yeah, that's silly.
Because we were relatively inexpensive. The other says, oh, I'll go somewhere else. So it was just 2. But we just wanted to bring that before the board to consider if we want to do something. The campground hosts were great. They checked on him, made sure that he moved. He was more than, he was very cooperative.
the moving part seems silly, but the only thing, I just want to make sure that we are within our other ordinances as well. So anything over 28 days is considered long-term. So if we're doing weekly is weekly. If somebody starts getting into 28 days, that is a totally different ball of wax, and we have to follow our own ordinances. So in terms of weekly, if somebody wants to stay there for a week, fine. If somebody wants to stay there for a month, that's a totally different thing, and we just got to make sure that we're following our own city ordinances. So, and in terms of the tents, that's a long-term discussion. When we built the campground, we told the homeowners that were there that it would not be a tent campground. And so we've allowed the 2 next to the host as kind of we get a lot of people that are coming down on the river and portaging. And so we've allowed that for that. But in terms of in large scale tent usage, the reason why we don't have that is because it was agreement when we built it. So I'd like to continue to honor that.
I love everything about the campground. I don't know how I feel about some of the others yet.
We'll make a motion to approve the campground site, and then move on to the next item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the campground fee structure. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Campground fee structure passes. Where are we at with the additional fees, Mike? Looking at the tournaments, for example, I understand that there's some work there. However, when I look at the economic impact that comes into the city, I think that vastly outweighs the work that comes. I've long said since I got on this board that our return on investment comes in other ways than dollars. Everything that happens within the city, I think, is a return on our investment when we bring 1,000 people to town for a baseball tournament. So what is the $150 per tournament per complex and additional fees for staff, chalk? Where are we at with that?
Correct. So currently, we do charge them for our field staff to utilize, chalk and maintain those ball fields. So we already currently do that. We are just looking, again, we did a little bit of benchmarking across the state, and some individuals charge $300 per complex. Some indicate, $100 per field for the entire thing. Some will just do per game. And so we thought we'd be somewhere in the middle, just look at it per complex, and $150. Again, this is just something to try to look at our benchmarking, what other cities are doing, and this is just something that we would look at doing if the board so wanted to.
Okay. I personally am not in favor of that for the reasons I stated before. Those groups have put a lot of money into those areas, and the economic impact outweighs $150 per tournament, I feel like. Any other discussion on those?
We didn't have a tournament rate before this though, right?
We did not. We just charged, it sounds like we just charged for hard costs, which I agree with hard cost reimbursement, but I don't agree with making the tournament a profit center.
Well, I guess because we just typically charge for field rental, right?
No, we do
No,
not.
we didn't even charge for that.
Right.
We just, hey, come on in,
Right.
and dink around. Yeah.
And we did, I could clarify, I guess. So BBBA, we did not charge them. We did have one adult group come in and use Mills Field, and we charged them per the hourly rate for that. And if I could recommend, maybe we just do these one by one, agree, disagree, or whatever, or modify, and that way staff could have clear direction.
Right.
Mr. Mayor?
So what was the cost of the individual to use the field for?
For our staff to do that, the overall.
Not the staff, what is the cost of the individual that rented it for the tournament? So you said we had a tournament that wasn't
yes.
BBA.
It was at Mills Field, and it was this daily rate that we have on there. It was a 2-hour rate. Mills Field, it was $75 for the 2 hours that they blocked it.
Or is it, so for Millsfield, with lights to our block, 150, or without lights to our block, 100. So we charge them one of those two rates?
Correct.
I do like the daily rate for the other courts and fields instead of the hours. I think that will help show usage by making it more cost effective and lowering that cost.
Such as like at Gregory Park, we didn't have any record that those tennis courts got any use whatsoever. This would just be something very minute. We would encourage individuals to call in, reserve it, and we would move from there. And we thought $10 was, and again, these are just recommended.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, the garbage one I have a little bit of an issue with, just in that if you're charging because it's a pavilion, you're already charging a pavilion rate. So in my eyes, what else am I paying for the pavilion? You know, that should include the trash. I would hope so at least. And that's such a minor cost. You know, again, with the tournament then, so for the tournament, if you're looking at running a tournament, you're paying $150 for the field tournament usage and then another $100 for garbage. Again, can we just pick and choose here? I mean, garbage to me is it's a scenario where we're either requiring you to get your own garbage outside, which we do, or the garbage should be something that we feel is manageable within the fee structure of having the actual item itself.
Event, yeah. To Mike's point, we should start and finish the tournaments first.
Sure.
I'm with JD on this simply because we're talking about organizations putting these things together. If we want, you know, if they want additional staff help, we can probably price that in, right? Like if they need some extra hands out there and they want to pay the city to come in there and pay some staff hours, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. But hosting the event, let's let them get out there and do the thing.
Yes, so my comment on the trash is directly related to the tournaments.
Sure.
It's either you're paying $150 or are you paying $150 plus another $100. Now, it's $250 to host a tournament, is what I'm saying. So you have the cost in this, but is that really the cost of hosting the actual tournament?
I think what Jonathan wants to do is essentially make a motion almost line by line. I would probably say athletic fields and facilities would be one motion with the daily rates on the back.
That's what staff had asked, to just
Yeah.
do each line individually. So, I mean, yeah, we'll come to the trash for sure. We'll get there. I promise you.
Here's what I'm saying to you,
Yeah,
though. okay?
yeah, but it's wrapped into the cost when we're doing.
Wrapped into the
approvals.
cost.
Yes,
So if you're
yes.
going to make the decision on the
Yes,
cost,
yes,
make the decision on the
Very good.
cost.
Yep, very good. We should start with trash then.
You should eliminate trash, is what I'm saying. But first and foremost, you should start with wherever you're starting with.
If I could, Mr. President?
Yes.
So regarding the trash, one thing, when an organization is paying for a service, there needs to be some type of, when you rent a hotel room, it's going to be clean and you don't have to clean it when you're done. And sort of to the mayor's point, this is sort of the same thing. This is a recommendation from a group of individuals, whether I agreed or not. This is a collective proposal. And with this, the real talk on this one was actually for the large events. Where the Loon Fest, I paid for that trash removal versus having a staff person there to take the trash from the trash can and take it off site. I paid for the trash receptacle to be there. Loon's responsibilities, or the Loon Fest, was to pick up the trash, put it in the trash can, and then city, we are responsible for taking it from the trash can off site. And whereas other individuals thought it was a different perspective, that they should pay for, it's a private event, and that individual should be paying for the trash completely. Where I feel you're paying for the rental and you're already paying for that service. And so there's a different philosophy. So this is two philosophies coming together for the park board to choose one.
Andrew?
How much did we pay for trash for Loon Fest?
It was $225 for that trash, that large receptacle. Again, it was cheaper than having a staff person there and getting it done.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So tournaments, or what are we thinking?
I will entertain whichever way we want to go with this.
Andrew, did you have any comments? I guess I'm swayable, certainly, but I'm just one of those things, like, we're talking about a lot of associations right now coming in, hosting these events, taking care of the fields and doing the work themselves. For the most part, obviously, staff's doing their daily manicure of this stuff regardless. But, when organizations and associations come in to host their fundraiser events and things like that, I see a lot of this going to different fields in the area, and I just prefer them be here. It's closer here for everyone, and so I don't know. It's tough because we were talking about this even when Lakes Area Music Festival came here and wanted to play pickleball on our courts and things like that. We have a charity event to do these things. Their margins are razor thin to begin with, so how do we make it feasible for them to do these types of events and have it still be of no cost to the city? I'm not entirely sure, right? Where's that middle ground? And so I like that we have a tournament rate, but I'm just not sure if that's the correct way to implement that, right?
Yeah, I think where I'm at is I like the tournament rate if it includes probably everything but like Diamond Dry, because it's $8 to maintain a field a day.
Sure.
So we're covering our costs there. They're definitely generating garbage. There's additional materials. There's staff being out there to maintain the fields during the games. I think that covers our costs there, but the additional 100 for garbage feels challenging, especially if you've got right thing. And was it Otsego is one of the examples you found, Mike? Like they have a flat rate for complex for tournaments. Otsego, I think, has a giant complex.
Yeah.
But if we say, hey, it's this much money per complex, I don't think that's unreasonable. And then, oh, by the way, if it's pouring rain, we're going to charge you for the cost of Diamond Dry so that you can still play. I think that feels totally reasonable for somebody coming up from the cities, or wherever.
I suppose it's tough for me interpretation-wise for complex, right? Because, we take the example of soccer or we take the example of pickleball. It's like not all complexes within our system are created equal. Like if you want to play over at JC's, you've got a different total of fields, I guess, when we're talking about the definition of a complex. So I like the standard rate and having it all rolled into one. I have an issue with the complex side of it, right? Like, cause it's a very wide definition, like somebody could get 103 fields for $150 for the duration of a tournament is a pretty good deal. Speaking specifically on the rental of athletic fields, you know, like I said, what does that look like? You know, I guess we get to pick and choose. The maximum is you get 3 fields for $150, and the minimum is you get to use 1 field at Bain, I guess. I mean, you get to pick and choose, but, you know, do we offer a reduced rate for a tournament if you want to have one field use? You know, that's where my interpretation of this comes in strange. And we want to make it effective for groups to come in and do their events and their tournaments, and not have to pay out the nose for that. So
Yeah, I'm coming at it from, I think it was one of the softball players that presented said,
yeah,
like, hey, we'd love to have a tournament here, but the pricing just doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
right.
We said, yeah, $150 for a tournament. Like, come play softball. Use our fields that don't get a ton of use outside of the leagues. I love that. It simplifies it a little bit. If we want to do like per field per tournament, I'd be on board with that. But I think the simpler the better.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, not in the interest of trying to get out of here at some point tonight with the individuals we have sitting in our audience. But we also have individuals sitting in our audience that are here because there are some other individuals in our community that don't have a butts and seats philosophy and have become more stringent in how you rent their fields. We hear it from the Baseball Association all the time. The reason why they're using our fields is because our fields are the easiest accessible, we're the easiest to work with, and we're not going to charge you $6,000 to have a tournament. We have to be mindful of that. You know, these structures have a cost to them, our staff has a cost to them, but the structures remain as well. So if we're going to have them, we need to have some kind of desire for people to use them and ability for people to use them. So as long as it's a reasonable amount. But I agree with you on that as well. Complex is interesting to me, right? Because to me, for a baseball tournament, the complex is what you want. You want the system. You don't want one field. You want to be able to host a tournament, which means usage of the fields.
And then does the complex include the concession stand and uses to the public? I mean, that's another conversation that we had. Again, simplifying it, I think, you know, obviously right now the only conversations that are really happening are, softball tournaments want to exist in our Memorial Park softball complex. I think this is a fair rate, throwing out kind of the additional fees and costs and the trash structure. I mean, Diamond Dry, I don't know. I mean, we'll technically, based on field maintenance costs, if we're doing a one-day tournament, we're going to net $100 off this anyway, even if we have to dump some Diamond Dry. So I think 150 is just a fair rate for this, and we can always reevaluate our tournament cost structure in the future based on demand. But right now, I think it's just simply for softball, and if they want to rent the entire pickleball court for $150, well, you could probably just do 30, and you'll have it for the whole day anyway. So, but this gives a steep discount for the field specifically. At that particular complex, instead of making them pay probably $300, this is about a half price deal. So yeah, I think it adds feasibility, and again, happy to reconvene as needs arise and more people from the community reach out. But I'm in favor of 150 per tournament and no additional fees for trash or field staff and chalk.
150 per tournament or 150 per tournament per complex?
Per tournament, per complex.
What's your definition of complex?
Yeah. If you also need the JC's Park on top of your memorial, it's $150 extra, I think. That I consider that in addition a totally different complex. So when we're talking about a complex, again, we have bathrooms and we have parking and we have, again, potential concession stands that could be factored into a cost like this if we're considering it to be the JC's Park complex. Sports complex. So,
are you making a motion?
Yeah, let's make a motion to approve tournaments at $150 per tournament per complex with no additional fees and field staff and chalk and I guess we'll get to trash eventually, but that $150 per tournament per complex.
No additional.
No additional fees for field staff and chalk.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second with an idea. Could we just call it per tournament per park? Like, what park has 2 complexes?
Good call.
Done.
And then we're not
Yeah.
introducing a new term into our lives.
Let's call it a park. Yeah.
Motion on the table is $150 per tournament per park. No additional fees. I have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? I am staying with my earlier discussion points. So no additional discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion passes 2-1. Moving on to special event fees, or miscellaneous fees and special event
Sorry,
fees.
Mr. President, can we go back to the daily rate for the ice skating rink, the courts, and go through the other on page 2 of the fees?
Yeah, and for those two, the daily rates, we want the public to just book these things, let us know you're using it, we'll set this rate. I think $10 for an entire ice rink for an entire day is a pretty good deal.
deal.
But we want you to book those things, so right now we're gonna set the rates at that. We'll figure out what the community wants, the usage and all those types of things, and then we'll figure out, from there. Again, $10 is a sweet deal, so, for all of this.
Mr. Mayor?
I would just like to make sure that we're noting that the ice rinks are not ice rinks in the summer. So, you're renting the entire ice rink versus the tennis ball court versus, could they become pickleball courts, become basketball courts? I just want to make sure that we're clear about that.
Modular, system, yeah.
Yep.
Rent the whole.
Yeah, the outdoor rink, not necessarily ice rink.
Do I have a motion for ice rink and courts slash open
Yes,
fields?
I will make a motion to approve the daily rate of the ice rink and tennis court, pickleball, basketball, and open field daily rate.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Dave?
Open field, what are we speaking of here?
So open field as far as just an open grass area, and
Gustafson.
if they want to do something, yeah, we just wanted to keep it so that we aren't locked in. If they have an open grass area, we want to, if they're going to be doing an organized thing on a regular basis and they want to reserve that, that is something that we would be open to reserving and putting in our system so that we can record the numbers. It's really about recording numbers and getting how many people are in our parks and utilizing our amenities.
My definition of open field is like Gustafson and O'Brien Park are two grass areas that, that's a field that's open. You want to go do a thing. There's no pavilion there. There's none of that, right? So those are open fields
Yeah,
to me.
my point is just making sure that we're identifying this versus a special event. So when you're saying open field, you're saying, yoga in the park versus special event. Special event is completely
At Gregory, she did the yoga in the park. This would be falling into that area
Okay.
where it's going to be reserved on a regular basis, so it'd be $10 a day. Just
An
something so that
open
we,
grassy area.
right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're delineating between the two.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good.
You seconded it.
Second. I think I did.
Yeah.
I did now.
You did now.
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Miscellaneous fees.
And these are just for the bench and the concrete slab. The plaque is $65, and then the installation of that tree would be at our staff costs. We indicated our staff cost is included with the bench. We would figure that up and then put that same type of formula into the bench memorial also. So that's what the at cost means.
What was it previously, Mike?
Nothing. It was free. We installed it free.
Didn't we previously have something for benches?
Yes.
Benches have gone up, right?
The benches, we have always done that appropriately, but for the trees, we have not. And I can look on our fee schedule for 25 to confirm that.
Because we have the bench in yellow, so I assume that
Yeah,
indicated
that's why I was
it
questioning
indicated a
that.
change of some sort. I thought it was maybe 1,500 or 1,800 before, but
Right. And because the benches go up every year.
Yeah,
And the
just-
concrete goes
What
up
was it,
every
Dave?
year.
I want to say it was 900.
900?
I want to say it was much lower than that.
Memorial trees were $35.
And no insulation. And then benches,
And then whatever the tree was. So
Okay, yeah.
it was the plaque and the tree, but we did not charge for our staff to install that.
Sure.
Where the bench, they paid for the bench itself and also for staff cost to install that. And that's why the 1,900 is what it is. And that's why we would say we would do the calculation if you want us to include that.
I think the question is, what was the cost before for the bench?
Oh, it's not on, I'm looking at 25, and they did not, the concrete slab was $300, and then the bench, it says, at cost will be provided for the quote. So we would get a quote from the company for that bench, and then we would just say, okay, this dollar amount plus the concrete slab, that's your total bid for that. So this year, we are just saying, we've already got those quotes from the manufacturer, and they're guaranteeing that for the year, so now it's $1,900. That way, we could just be very simple with our approach versus this, and then that.
Yep, that's fine. I mean, we do approve it every year, so it changes drastically in one way or the other, likely one way, we can change it, so. Yeah, I'm in favor of the adjustments to the miscellaneous fees. I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve miscellaneous fees. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Miscellaneous fees pass. Special event fees.
So the first part, we indicated picnic tables, trash cans, outlets, $5 per item, and then trash removal, picnic tables, and then the electrical and so forth. So we just wanted to outline all the type of different requests that we are receiving, and if the park board would like to try to put a small dollar amount, even though these won't cover that, the staff time to do like a picnic table. For the event that we had at City Hall here in the parking lot, it was a skating event. They wanted 4 picnic tables. That'd be $20 for us to go get them 4 picnic tables. It'd be far exceed that, but it'd just be something for us to start charging. The fee schedule here is really the thought behind it, is that in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, people that are sitting in our seats can say, hey, is that $5 really appropriate? I think we need to tick that up. So this is just making that hard decision now, just to get a dollar amount in there, and then we could do something in the future. But this is just to get something started if we want to go in that direction.
My question for staff would be like moving picnic tables around. So why are we providing tables for someone to host an event when that should be part of their event planning? Why are we doing that? I would actually rather our staff doesn't do that.
Right.
I mean, if I'm going to host an event that has a bunch of people and I need tables, I'm going to rent those tables or bring them myself.
Right. The past practice has been, we provide things, and I'm just following suit.
I think I'm just more in favor of, if you need something of the city, we have the tools to provide it, but we will provide it at cost. Just in general. Like, look, I mean, yeah, to JD's point, look, you're planning an event. Look, you might not have picnic tables completely on hand. We've got them. If you need them, we've got them, but, you know, it costs things to rent stuff and it costs time to move stuff. So I'm just more in favor of kind of scratching everything except additional requests out of the special event fee structure, and just saying, if you need something of the city, you know, we have some amount of resources, you can come and get it, but you're gonna pay what it costs for us to get it to you, and, you know, the usage, so. I think that simplifies it a ton. I mean, you know, trash removal, if you need us to take the trash out for you, beyond reason, you know, you're gonna pay for it, you know, I'm not gonna let folks get a giant dumpster full of garbage and then have the city of Brainerd pay to remove it, and it's the same with hauling 4 picnic tables. Like, if you need them, we'll bring them to you, but I'm not giving them to you for nothing. I can't, you know.
I think we have a community member that would like to speak on this.
Hey, David Bideau, Brainerd Community Action. Yeah, I just stepped down from the dais because we have a lot of special events in your town. And I will speak just against a few of the things in terms of electrical access and trash removal. it's more simplistic from a standpoint of trying to run an event to know what my costs are going to be. So if I come to rent your pavilion, I want to know what I'm getting with the pavilion. If I rent a pavilion and I plug a crock pot in, am I getting charged for the access of that electricity? And if so, isn't that built into the cost of the extra $15 for the kitchenette or whatever? There's just a lot of stuff in here that you run into issues when you're actually running the event that, yes, it seems like trash, that makes sense. But if I have a lot of trash, it's in my special event that I have to provide trash, and I have to put that in as to who my trash provider is. And now I'm going to get an additional cost for additional trash. Well, additional trash is, again, usage of the facilities. Picnic tables, I fully understand, right? If the picnic table's in the park and I move the picnic table, I shouldn't be charged for that. But if I'm asking for a picnic table, completely agree. It would cost me about $75 to get a table. So $5 for a picnic table to have it moved to City Hall seems extremely cheap. So I don't have a problem with that, but I don't want to get charged for the picnic table that's in the park that we moved over to use. So the additional requests at cost is one that I would definitely push back on, because it lists cones, fencing. I mean, obviously fencing, if we need fencing, that's a totally different ball of wax, but cones, hey, can I have a couple cones? It seems like a really weird thing to add in your special event additional requests at cost. It's a really interesting one to me. I know you're looking at me weird, John, but what are you talking
They're
about?
cheaper on
What-
Amazon if
What are
you
you
don't wanna
talking
buy
about?
it.
No offense, but what are you talking about? A cone.
Look, there are
Come on,
certain,
man.
like I said, there are certain things beyond reason. You know, again, cones are not really what I'm talking about. Like the actual staff support and things like that, I think can just be a miscellaneous charge that the city can assist at cost, right? Like hauling picnic tables or providing some sort of trash service. Like, look, you know, your special event thing says it. Like, this is a special event fee structure. So to have electricity and things like that, I don't know necessarily what other things you might need at cost, but if you need us to fence the joint off and you don't want to do it, well, the city will come in and do it.
Yeah,
But we're just going to charge you for it.
And here's what I'm saying, right? So I understand this, but you already have a process in order to do this. And if I'm going to come to do an event, I want to know what my costs are up front. I don't want to get a bill after everything's done that says, here's what you owe us in addition to what
So what do you pay now for us to fence off an area?
nobody's ever fenced off an area for
Okay.
us, so I wouldn't know. But granted, and to be completely fair, wildly different depending on where you want to do an event in our area. You can pay $0, you can pay, $1,600 to put on an event. It's not a problem with so much as paying for it. It's a problem with the process of what am I paying you for when I come to apply for an event. So from the outside perspective of somebody that's continually trying to use the process,
Right.
less ambiguity is way more important to me. When I get to the end, I need to know what my sponsorship costs need to be to cover my event. If I get to the end and all of a sudden I've got a bill for $1,600, which has happened, not from you guys, but from other places, that makes me not want to use that system again. And it's those types of things that make me leery, right? If there's a larger event that we need to have a discussion ahead of time, I'm okay with that. But when we put it into some kind of fee structure like this that is really ambiguous, it makes me really nervous about, and I hate to be like that, but cones. It's such a weird, it's a cone, man.
I get it,
Come
but
on.
I mean, even recently, events that we have had, that larger events inside of our park system, the city's been on the hook for those things. So, just one specific, I guess. But it's one of those things where, how do we wrap those costs up? And I think, and again, important from a community standpoint to understand what it does to the folks that need to rent these parks and host these special events. But yeah, I mean, we can't just have the city be on the hook for certain things, and again, even talking with streets, the conversation across the system is we should be charging for extreme amounts of manpower if it's requested, right? So I don't know what, I guess, extreme or even unreasonable amounts of manpower is from the city, but we can't just be handing out manpower for free,
Yeah, my final comment would just simply be that build it into whatever the cost is of the pavilion. Or if you have an
Sure.
event cost for a specific park,
Okay.
build it into it so that
Yeah.
I have an idea of what that is, or
Fair
any
enough.
other organization for that matter.
Appreciate your comments. I think with those comments, I'd like to continue down the path of finding out our costs and then factoring them into rental. So I will X out, I would move to X out the entirety of special event fees until we understand our entire park, cost structure.
You read my mind.
Very good.
Do we have a second?
Well, I'll make a motion to do that.
Motion, sorry.
Do we need a motion to take no action?
Oh, again, well, because the trash removal is already on the, we already do that, right? Like, because the trash removal for private rental for tournaments, special events, et cetera, already exists.
Well, correct,
Correct.
right now, trash removal from the trash can to off-site is the city's responsibility.
Yeah.
And that is still my philosophy. Again, this is just a collective bargaining
Sure.
individuals. And so we'll just do a cost analysis and we'll bring that back to you.
So maybe, yeah, taking no action doesn't require any.
You're pulling your motion back.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it back. We'll just
Perfect.
leave the trash removal as is
Okay.
for special event fees.
So,
Very good.
Andrew,
so Mike, for like Loon Fest, right? Next year they say, hey, we love the event. It was great. We want to do it again. We could just say, hey, you need to either do your own trash or we're charging you our costs to do that, right? Even if it's not on our fee schedule, we can build that into our contract with them.
It's the difference of that philosophy. Right now, I did not bill them because they paid for that field rental. They paid us, nearly $3,000 to use that facility. Part of that philosophy of using that facility is you just pick up the trash in the field and in the bleachers, put it in the trash can, and then I'll get it from there. But again, it's just a different perspective on looking at how do we recoup, the picnic tables. For Troy to go get picnic tables to bring them down to City Hall costed a little dollar amount, and that's what it is. And we just put like the cones, those things that I would probably recommend, taking that last item totally off. But the picnic tables and those things, those unique items that are always in demand, that we put a dollar amount to those. So we could do, if you would like, we could direct staff to do some further analysis, and we'll bring back next month.
Further analysis on special event fees sounds great.
yes.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to 8H, review and adopt, we did,
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we did
parsed
that
that
one.
out, yep.
Right.
yes, that was combined.
So this one here is this is more of a discussion point. We want to just bring to your attention that the special events, the revenue and expenditures are adding up. And we just want to bring that to your attention. The pumpkin event that we just recently had, we couldn't get a lot of volunteers to ensure that we had adequate people, staff power to run those different areas. I assigned different staff to that, and that was overtime. So that amount will be adjusted, and that'll be reflective of our budget. But we just want to bring that to the board's attention, that this is a concern that we have. Great event. It was more than phenomenal. And I just want to indicate that, we had to bring in some staff to make sure that it was successful and with our staffing patterns.
Jonathan?
Apart from us failing to secure the bouncy castle as one of the line items in that auction previously, we did speak about this before in, I think, even a conversation about the festival specifically. We need to do community outreach for these events. There are plenty of groups within the system that want to put their name on these types of events and are willing to volunteer their time. So I think, we got to eat the cost because it is what it is. We put the thing on and, it is what it is. But like I said, my comment on this was there's so many places that want to be involved. And these types of things, we just need only ask sometimes. So let's just do as much community outreach to our service groups and other organizations within the system and see if we can't get, the city hosted Great Pumpkin Festival brought to you by, the
XYZ.
XYZ organization. So I think that one was for me, I get it, but it's, yeah, the call for volunteers is not going to be easy to do on a citywide level. So let's just do some outreach.
Any further discussion? You read my mind, so we have opportunities. Let's use them.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 8J, review and approve concession stand leftover inventory.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have several items. I'm not sure if we listed those items that are left over. We did not, but there's quite a few items left over, and we would just need direction what you would like to do those. We could donate them to Salvation Army, our police department, or we could sell them at our break room here at City Hall. And so there's several different options that we could do for that. And we're just looking for guidance for the remaining concession stand items.
Jonathan?
Is it significant, right, this year?
It's about $1,500. Right now, our numbers as far as profit, we're at $1,200 in the profit. But we haven't done the last invoice yet, so we're waiting for that.
We're nearly even.
Correct.
It's impossible. Shut the whole city down. We accomplished the task that we set forth.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Again, we haven't, there's one more invoice still out there.
I mean, look,
Board's work is done.
Closer to zero than before is unbelievable. So, yeah.
What is past practice?
Would rather
That's
not.
probably for these
Yes.
2 or 3.
Sure, they were throwing it in the garbage can.
Past practice is it was all expired.
Yeah, so,
I know that the police department is having a Halloween event, and they would greatly appreciate if some of them, if not all of it, and then also Salvation Army. They also are really a big supporter of us. So those 2 items, staff really thanked them for helping with various events. So if we could reciprocate, I know staff would appreciate that.
yeah, and I think since it's not a substantial number, a donation of these products is probably more feasible. If we were talking about 5Gs or something like that in product, we might want to try to recoup costs, but I think donating this off is probably the best way to do it.
I personally like the idea of the police department, fire department Halloween events. Those are my first ideas. Mr. Mayor, what do you have?
I'd be really leery of donating things outside of the city system. If you do that, you're going to have to talk to the lawyers and make sure we're even allowed to do that. So police and fire, that's within the city system. It's the same department. So, but outside of that, I think you'd have to get legal advice on it.
Very good.
I would entertain a motion to offer the donation to the police and fire department. So there's my thoughts on it that I can't say. Andrew?
Kara had wanted me to share her thoughts were to sell first and then donate, and that she was also interested in getting the final sales reports from the new point of sale systems we had this year.
Right.
And we'll probably see that last
yes.
comment very soon, very
Yes.
soon.
Yes.
We are staff is anxiously waiting.
I'm anxiously waiting
Right.
too. Holy smokes. I can't believe it. I will actually just entertain a motion to at the very least, donate the remainder of these items to police and fire for their Halloween event, or utilize it within the city government system for whatever events we've got coming up, I guess.
I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I will say comment-wise, I don't know, every year maybe we do a little different. We don't want to promote us having a huge surplus of concession items every year to donate within our own government. But, this particular year, since we do have a surplus, yeah. Oh.
Andrew, did you have anything?
Yeah, do I go first, Dave?
No, I was just going to say, just to follow up on your comment, this is the first year that we've actually even broken even. So
Yeah.
this is wild.
Well, this is the first year we've had a comment like this, like, hey, we have stuff. So
Wildly better than where
stoked,
we've been in the past. Whether or not we have entire garbage bags full of stuff at the
All
end.
I'm saying is I don't necessarily, based on annual sales, I don't necessarily want this to be the thing that we do every year if we have a surplus at end of year that's going to expire. So
Staff did an amazing job monitoring this the entire
is
season, and they modified it and had staff working it. They did a great job.
Andrew?
In general, I love that we're working on making standard procedures. I think that's great. I don't know that this particular topic needs a 4-page document. It is thorough, but it also cites a state statute that doesn't exist. 471.348 doesn't exist. So, yeah, I think that's a case where the detail is making it harder for us instead of clarifying things. So, yes, another ChatGPT strikes. So I have comments on that later.
Missouri statute.
Yeah, so I'm in favor of donating.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion to donate to, again, or I might have already, but I will
think I already
continue my
seconded.
motion
Yes.
to donate it within the city government system.
I will still second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Approval of updated solar development agreement at Rotary Park.
Thank you, Mr. President. This item was just recently modified to ensure that the project was going to be bonded at the full amount, and the total adjustment is $1,720, and BPU is going to be taking that additional cost on, and that has already been approved of today at the commission, and now it's coming before the board for recommendation for the city council to make final approval. With that, any questions? And the Rotary Club, thank you for being here and being a part of the project. We really appreciate that.
Had your coffee
And
this morning.
They are here to answer any questions that you may have.
No remaining questions from me. I'm ready to make a motion, so.
Seems pretty straightforward.
All right.
Andrew?
I'm still just confused how the park board fits in with this and not the city or BPU.
They are, like I indicated, it already went to the county commission, but because it is, and this is where our legal advice came from Joe, is that this is a city asset. It's, and that's why it is only going to, the individuals that are signing are those that are on there. It is, the mayor, the contractor, city administrator, and then the Rotary Club.
I think, again, we're involved simply because this particular update is happening specifically because we did not want to eat the costs. We just wanted to define who the costs were being assigned to, right? But it is still a city asset on park property, so moving it through and making sure all our Ts are crossed is the big time.
This is just procedural. This is so that when the council asks, you signed off on it, BPU signed off on it, council makes the final decision.
So I'll make a motion to approve the updated solar development agreement at Rotary Park.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you for waiting 2.5 hours. Also, we're sorry.
I'm going to lose my voice up here.
weren't sure if we should be doing something or not.
You did a great job.
Yeah, you guys said patiently amazing.
8K, approval, or 8L, discussion of future grant proposals with Legislative Citizen Commission on Minnesota Resources.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just information only. The mayor and staff they've been presenting various grants to the state regarding our different projects, and they've put them in order as the wastewater treatment plant and the bridge over 210 to Lum Park for the Cuyuna Lake State Trail. And so we just want to bring this to your attention to let you know that we are out there working to expand our trail system and connecting to Cuyuna with the state trail. So that's something that we just want to bring to your attention. Any
Perfect.
questions?
Questions for staff? Seeing none, we will move on to 8M, discussion of baseball group Ageless Wonders.
And this is also just a discussion item. We do have a group of individuals, and where this would apply also for the baseball and the daily rate, it would be $10 for them to, they would reserve it. It'd be 100% theirs unless we go into an agreement. and where they would come before the park board and we'd make an agreement if they have it free or whatnot. So we just want to make sure that we record and collect numbers of people utilizing our parks. And with that, take any questions.
Yeah, just really quick, again, anytime a group comes in, they want to do a regularly scheduled thing, let's book them. You know what I mean? Let's encourage them to sign on and be a consistent member and identify that, so then we can establish statistics and things like that, field usage times, percentages. So that's my only comment.
Yeah, I love hearing about this. I think it's cool. Hopefully, when I am 50 plus, I can do that too.
I was just thinking that. I can't do that at 37, so maybe at 50. Okay. All right. Moving on. Number 9, staff reports. Do we have any updates since what was in the packet?
Nope, just our Great Pumpkin Festival was amazing. It was over 300 people were there, 22 vendors, and just turned out great. And thank you for the mayor and to be out there with your lovely wife. It was great. It was just an awesome event. So with that, that's all I have.
The mayor, you're lovely too.
Brainerd Community Action, not the mayor.
Okay, moving on. 10, board member reports.
Yeah, I'll start it off. The graffiti, I do the same walk from all the way down. That's how we pointed out the brush down at Lemon P. But the walk from underneath the bridge down to Rotary, I mean, we talked about the memorial benches. The graffiti has been on those slabs since I started doing this walk about 6 months ago. So I don't know, like, what our procedure for checking for graffiti or taking a look at some of these things to make sure that this stuff is removed, because it just hasn't been. Like, I kind of let it simmer just to see how long it would sit, because they're underneath trees and don't seem to get a lot of usage. But these things have been marked up for quite some time, and 6 months is a significant amount of time. And there is a little bit more graffiti occurring underneath the bridge again. Again, appreciate Ascension going down there and cleaning it up, but I don't know, I guess, apart from, again, members of the community coming out and saying, hey, this is kind of banged up, what we can do to further that. But I think, again, that all kind of ties in with staff time and being in the parks and consistency. But the Rotary benches definitely need to take a gander at those on the way in. So.
Right.
And then
And
did we stop the goats? Or the goats still go? I mean,
Yes.
Okay, I thought
think
there was
next
a
week-
comment that we'd stop the goats.
Next week, I think they're coming out. And every time that I'm on the radio, I do ask the community.
Yeah.
I indicate our staff email.
Sure.
And the general email and our general phone
Sure.
number. And that's why we need community
no,
input.
and I just didn't know, I guess, what our
Right.
procedure was. So you're out there making the
Right.
call to arms. I appreciate that. So, but yeah, that's I don't know. We just kind of, when I think of our staff as stewards of the park and people who come in, I mean, we were having that conversation too about Lyman P with the overgrowth. You know, I like to see that, you know, that sort of like forward thinking and the active participation in keeping the parks up to snuff. And I think graffiti that long is significantly outside the window of acceptable. So, you know, again, I know our staff's probably not down at Rotary all that often, but, you know, walking that consistently and through the rest of the system. And then the goats thing, I just noted, I thought there was a conversation that the goats were going to be done at some point.
Yeah, I
down
believe
there,
it's next
like
week.
entirely. But I also, spending time in Rotary, seeing the goats at work and what they take care of down there, leads me to want to continue the usage of goats in that fenced-in area, because they do a great job clearing that brush out. So I just wanted to make that comment too, that it's fun. The goats are fun and everything, but they actually do take care of a significant amount of brush down there, and I was kind of impressed on the amount of chewing they did in between even days. So that's all I got.
Okay. My comments are going to be directed at the police department, that I appreciate their proactiveness that they have been showing in the parks lately, and I look forward to that continuing. Andrew?
On the graffiti front, there's been graffiti in the center of Gregory since early summer. And I was similar to John, kind of like, I wonder how long this is gonna linger, because it's been
Yeah.
there.
Right, and just to that point, one thing that I think I mentioned to you, Andrew, regarding, our staff scheduling, I'm making a grid so that we can just see what our staff are doing and where we want to put our priority. Like the roundabouts, we're going to be getting more roundabouts. And to throw that on our staff, we just simply won't have. So where will the priority be, and what do we want to RFP out? What do we want to contract out? Is it going to be the roundabouts, the graffiti? What is it that we would like to do? And that will be a helpful tool for us to know where we want to put our staff at and assign to what. So that'll be good. But I will get on the graffiti. Thank you.
And then kind of a broader point, I use LLMs for work stuff. They're very helpful assistants. There's 3 things in this packet that are, I think, blatant ChatGPT output, which it's a helpful tool. I think the contracts were really concerning to see that output there. And some of the errors it made were not things that I thought should have been sent to us for approval. I know Joe's still looking at it, but the fee structures and then, it's inventing a state statute.
Right.
So I know they're a tool. I know we're trying to work as efficiently as we can. I get that. But that's just not a good use of anyone's time to put that in a packet, have us read it all, then say, oh, yeah, well, this is just kind of making stuff up. So I'm a little frustrated by the 3 occurrences that stand out to me in this packet. So
Okay, thank you.
that's all I've got.
Oh, thank you. Shout out to my youngest son, Xander. It's his birthday right now, so I'm going to go see my son.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
I have a motion.
Hold them hostage. No, I will second the motion to adjourn.
I will second for sake of discussion if needed. Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Meeting's adjourned.